When some loud bragger tries to put me down and says this school is great, I tell him right away, now what's the matter, buddy? Ain't you heard of my school? It's #1 in the state.
So Sue, you've been a teacher for 22 years. Tell me how teaching has changed over those 22 years.
Well, teaching has changed quite a bit in 22 years. I think today's teachers feel more pressure and personal accountability than probably ever before. We have high expectations for all students, and so a lot of that responsibility is now is on the teachers.
Over the past 20 years, it seems that three major things have changed the face of education: technology, the declining attitude of students towards their education, and the introduction of teaching standards. Teachers now have to spend a great deal more time with the students in making sure that they are successful. The bar has been set to a whole different level because ultimately, if the students do not do well, it is the teacher's fault.
Everything's got to be tied to standards, and we have to be able to justify those precious minutes in the classroom. Our accountability has never been higher. We have a rigorous school day. Our children work hard. Homework is still required. There's very little busy work, if any now. Everything has a very, very specific purpose. Test scores are driving our instruction, and we've become, over the years, much more data-driven.
Teachers say that the use of email and the use of the internet has drastically changed the way they communicate with their students as well as the students' parents. Also, teachers now have this whole portal of information at their fingertips that they did not have 20 and 30 years ago.
The internet has really changed education. Most teachers have web pages now where we post homework. We will put up assignments. We have resources available to students. And so we've been able to really reach out in many different ways to students when they're home. Students email their teachers on a regular basis. If a student has a question on an assignment, they can email that teacher and often get an answer very quickly. I've told my students countless times to email me. I check my email every evening, and we can kind of take care of some problems that maybe in the past would have had to wait till the next day immediately. So communication has really changed over the past 20 years, as I think we've never had quite this level of communication before. Communication with parents, with students. Back in the day, you would have a couple of parent-teacher conferences. Now, there are some parents that I email with every week, and you can get that immediate feedback as a parent. That's a very valuable tool for parents and teachers to have.
The way that teaching has changed for me over the years is that this has become my daily use, part of my daily use, and this is the computer and the projector, which I often project the warm-up for the day or the kids' homework. We update the website weekly, and this is how teaching has completely changed for me.
Finally, teachers say that their students' attitudes have changed. They are less accountable and are not as driven as they once were. Maybe this is due to the fact that the teachers are now held accountable instead of the students. Therefore, they aren't so concerned with receiving an unsatisfactory grade.
Okay. Education today, as advanced as it is with the technology that's brought into the classroom and the ability to have kids use the internet or use any other technological piece that has been put through for grants and whatnot, when you get to the bare bones of it, it's been very difficult to communicate with kids because their accountability has changed. Parents no longer want to put the responsibility on their child, it's more on the teacher. What will you do for them? And it's hard because we really need the kids to be the ones who feel the responsibility piece. And when they fail, we want them to come to us and say, what do I need to do, rather than the parents come and say, what does my child need to do? Kids need to learn to advocate for themselves, and the fact that that no longer happens or doesn't happen as often as it needs to, their education, it's faltering because they don't have this need to do well or this desire to do well, and it's a big frustration for us as teachers. We need to find better things to do and keep them engaged and keep them willing and wanting to learn, and when there's no accountability on their end, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place.